Welcome to Wired Love, a romance of dots and dashes. Written by Ella Thayer. Chapter 1. Sounds from a Distant Sea. Just a noise, that is all, but a very significant noise to Miss Natalie Rogers, or Natty as she was usually abbreviated. A noise that caused her to lay aside her book and jumped up hastily, exclaiming with a gesture of impatience, "Somebody always calls me in the middle of every entertaining chapter!" For that noise, that little clatter-like and yet too irregular to be the ticking of a clock, expressed to Natty these four mystic letters: B.M. XN, which same four mystic letters interpreted meant that the name, or to use the technical word, call of the telegraph office over which she was present sole presiding genius was BM, and that BM was wanted by another office on the wire designated as XN. A little out-of-the-way country office some 50 miles down the line was XN, and as Natalie signaled in reply to the call her readiness to receive any communications therefrom, she was conscious of holding in some slight contempt the possible abilities of the human proportions of its machinery. For who but an operator very green in the profession would stay there? Consequently, she was quite unprepared for the velocity with which the telegraph alphabet of sounds and dots and dashes rattled over the instrument appropriately termed a sounder, upon which messages are received, and found herself wholly unable to write down the words as fast as they came. "Dear me," she thought rather nervously, "the country is certain ahead of its city this time. I wonder if this smart operator is a lady or a gentleman." And notwithstanding all her efforts, she was compelled to break, that is, open her key, thereby breaking the circuit and interrupting XN with the request, "Please repeat." XN took the interruption very good-naturedly. It was after dinner, and obeyed without expressing any impatience. But alas, Natty was even now unable to keep up with this too expert individual of uncertain sex, and was obliged again to break with the humiliating petition, "Please send slower." "Oh," responded XN. For a small one, "oh" is a very expressive word, but whether this particular one signified impatience or, as Natty sensitively feared, contempt for her abilities, she could not tell. But certain it was that XN sent along the letters now in such a slow funeral procession that she was driven half frantic with nervousness in the attempt to piece them together into words. They had not proceeded far, however, before a small, thin voice fell upon the ears of the agitated Natty. "Are you taking messages now?" it asked. Natty glanced over her shoulder and saw a sharp, inquisitive nose, a green veil, a pair of eyeglasses, and a strained smile sticking through her little window. Nodding a hasty answer to the question, she wrote down another word of the message that she had been able to catch, notwithstanding the interruption. As she did so, the voice again queried, "Do you take them entirely by sound?" With a determined endeavor not to break, Natalie replied only with a frown. But fate was evidently against her establishing a reputation for being a good operator with XN.
"Here, please, attend to this, quick!"
exclaimed the new voice, and a tall gentleman pounded impatiently on the shelf outside the little window with one hand, and with the other held forth a message. With despair in her heart, once more Natalie interrupted XN, took the impatient gentleman's message, studied out its illegible characters, and changed a bill, the owner of the nose looking on attentively meanwhile. This done, she bade the really much abused XN to proceed, or in telegraphic terms, to G.A. /the. G.A. being the telegraphic abbreviation for "go ahead," and the last word she had received out of the message. And this time not even the fact of its being after dinner restrained XN's feelings, and XN made the sarcastic inquiry, "Had you not better go home and send down someone who is capable of receiving this message?" Now it would seem as if two persons 60 or 70 miles apart might severely fly into a rage and nurse their wrath comfortably without particularly annoying each other at the moment, but not under present conditions, and Natty turned red and bit her nails excitedly under the displeasure of the distant person of the unknown sex at XN. But no instrument had yet been invented by which she could see the expression on the face of this operator at XN as she retorted, and her fingers formed the letters very sharply.